Hey guys, how's it going and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we will be learning about implementing force update for your app. So the context would be, sometimes as you are deploying new versions of the app, you might accidentally deploy a feature with a bug, and in a particular flow, when the user maybe tap on a button, the app will crash. So what happens is that you spotted that after you push it up to the App Store, and maybe you notice that there are some crashes happening on Crashlytics, or your managers or some stakeholders are pinging you on Slack, and you had to take action, right? So you need to create a hotfix, and you also have to let all the existing users who are on that particular affected version to update to the new version, the hotfix version. All right. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can create that implementation to force the user to update. Okay. So let's quickly look into the demo project to see if this is still a video that you should be watching. Okay. So this demo, it's called version update demo. So I just want to give you a little bit of the context first. The view controller currently is blank. We don't need to have any implementation. However, inside the storyboard, I created this view controller to have the purple backdrop, so that you know that we know the state of the app when it comes to the view controller, as opposed to the splash page, which is white in color. So the main learnings in this video comes in the app update manager over here. So as you can see, this is less than 100 lines long. Okay, so let me quickly just run this app over here, and let's see what we see. Okay, so build succeeded. So we are saying this alert controller over here that says update required, update this app to continue. So what is the condition that shows up this, that causes the app to show this alert controller? All right, so basically we communicate with Firebase. All right, so we read from a value inside a Firebase real-time database, and then we determine if the app version is below the minimum app version, then we will show this model. Okay, so let me quickly show it to you what I mean by that, so that I didn't explain that very well. So you see over here in this app, this is version 2.0. And if you can see over here, I've already synced up with Firebase, and I have inside this real-time database, I have this object here called the minimum app version. Okay, so I set this to be 2.0. So what it means is that if the app version is less than 2.1 over here, then you're going to see that pop up. All right, so if I'm going to make this to maybe 1.0, okay, and notice that there's a URL over here as well. So I'm going to show you what that does. So let me quickly run the app one more time. So notice that because the minimum app version is 1.0, so to speak, and the app is actually 2.0, we're not going to see any pop-up. All right. However, notice that if I change this on the spot, maybe let me do this to 2.5, and let me hit the enter button, notice that on the app itself, it's going to pop up this model. Okay, so if you have not seen this, let me show it to you one more time. Let's make this 2.0 first. Let's come back to the app. Okay, so let me just change this to maybe 3.0. So this is the minimum app version that we want the public to have. Hit the enter button, then we will pop this. Okay, I'm not sure why is it popping twice. Let's hope that I did not create any retain cycle. But basically, the idea is that we show the pop-up, and we can send the user to the App Store to download the latest version. So currently, the URL I'm using is actually a Udemy site, this is my course, by the way. I'm promoting my course, so check it out if you want to learn about stock APIs and unit tests. So maybe let me just change this to maybe let's call this youtube.com. Let's just run the app one more time. So let's see what happens right now. Okay, so we're going to see this. When I click on the OK button, I will be brought to youtube.com. So I kind of hope that you get the gist of what we are trying to do over here. Okay, so if you still want to watch this video, sorry, I know I kind of ramble a lot in the past 5 minutes. Let's create this project from scratch if you're interested. And I think this will be especially useful for you if you are a professional developer working on a app end-to-end, and then this is probably a feature that you want to implement as well. Okay, let's get started. Okay, I'm going to bring this to the left so that I can use that as my reference. So let's create a project right now. Okay, let's go File, New, Project. So I'm going to also walk you through how you can connect to the Firebase and basically the entire end-to-end flow. Okay, so let's go to app. Let's call this YouTube app update demo. Okay, it doesn't really matter what I name this. So let's save this into my desktop. Okay, so as you can tell, I've been playing Dota 2 recently. Not sure why I started playing that again. Okay, so now this is a brand new project. So first thing I want to do is to just change the backdrop of this so that I know that to distinguish this from the splash page. So maybe T color is fine. Okay, it doesn't really matter. So let me just quickly run this on iPhone 13 Pro Max. Okay, and then at the same time, I'm going to go to my Firebase console and I'm going to create a brand new project. Okay, so let me just add a project and let's call this YouTube app update demo. Okay, so hit the continue button. I don't need analytics, hit the create project. Okay, so let's just wait for a little while. Alright, so it says that your new project is ready. Hit the continue button and then we have to set up by hitting on this button over here, and then let's find out what our bundle identifier is. It's this one over here, so just copy this, come over here and paste this here. Alright, so hit the register app, and then I think we need to download a plist file. So let's just wait for a little while. Okay, download this Google service.info plist file. Okay, and then I'm going to open this up. I'm going to drag this inside underneath the info.plist and ensure that copy items if needed is being selected. Okay, so what's next? I want to change this to ensure that I don't have that bracket 2 first, that bracket 2. Alright, otherwise it's not going to work. Okay, so this Google service info plist file contains all the API keys that communicate with our Firebase project. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is to hit the next button, and then we have to install the Firebase SDK. So I'm going to do this via Swift Package Manager because this is CocoaPods is no longer cool, unfortunately. Alright, so we're going to use SPM. So let's copy this, come over here, and then we select the project, come over to package dependency, and then just paste the project inside, hit the enter button, and then you should see something like this. And then what we want to do is to select the version. So I think I'm just going to select up to next minor version. Okay, hit add package. So let's wait for a little while, and then we will be prompted to select the libraries or the modules from Firebase that we want to install into our project. So for our case, we are just interested in the Firebase real-time database. I believe you can use Firestore as well because you can still observe this, but I want to keep it a bit. I usually use like the real-time database for more settings related work, as opposed to Firestore where you store most of the data that's used by the app itself. Alright, so let's just wait for a little while. I think this is taking a while, so I'm going to fast forward to the point where this gets downloaded. Alright, so now this pops up, and then what we're interested to select is Firebase Database and Firebase Database Swift. Alright, so we use the Swift. We select this one so that we can just give me a while. I think my child is coming into the room. Hey. So now we want to select Firebase Database and Firebase Database Swift. So let's hit the add package, and then now we need to hit the next button over here, and then we have to import Firebase core into our app delegate. So let's do that right now. Hit on the copy button, come to app delegate, and then just paste this over here. And then let's come back. What do we need to do? Over here we have to do Firebase.configure inside the did finish launching with options. Okay, I think you guys should be very familiar with this if you have worked with Firebase multiple times. Okay, so just like that, let's get rid of these two line breaks over here. And then finally, I think we can just run the app. I believe that's all we need to do. Let's hit the next button, and then that's all. Continue to console. Okay, so next we need to go to the real-time database. We need to go to the real-time database, and then we want to select a real-time database. So let's hit the create database button over here. And then I think let's hit the next. Okay, so we're gonna do this in test mode so that we enable the reading and writing security, but I think you can configure this on your own and you can read more about it inside over here. Alright, so let's hit the enable button. And then right now what we want to do is to come to this part over here where we want to create the object. Okay, so the object that I'm going to create, you can name this whatever you want. So this key, I'm going to call this a minimum app version. And then for the value, you can select different data types. I'm going to use a object because I want to contain more than just the app version. I want to contain also a URL. Okay, so select object, do the curly braces. I'm going to do value here. And then I'm just going to set the value to be 1.0 in the meantime. And then the URL, let's set this to maybe https://youtube.com. Okay, something like that. Hit the enter button. So right now you'll see the URL and the value over here. Okay, the next thing we want to do is to come over to our app itself, and then we want to create some kind of manager to handle this checking. Okay, so let's create a new file. And then let's call this app update manager. Okay, hit the enter button. So I'm going to make this really simple. Okay, this is not going to be I'm not going to do like make this extremely testable, because otherwise this will take probably an hour to really explain everything. So I'm going to do this in the quickest way possible, and then you on your own, you can refactor it, you can break it down into several layers if you want to. Okay, so let's create a class and let's call this app update manager, and then we don't need the class over here. So let's make this a singleton, because I think it's enough to just have one instance. So static let chat equals to app update manager. Okay, maybe let me make this bigger. So let's do a private init over here. Okay, and then let me just have a look at my reference. Okay, so I want to have a setup method, func setup. So this is a public function. All right, so inside our scene delegate, we are going to call this setup method every time the app becomes active. Okay, so what we want to do over here is that we want to establish a connection with Firebase real-time database, and every time the value changes, we want to execute a function. Okay, so this is useful because let's assume that you have users already on your app itself, and you can actually go to your Firebase console and actually enable the minimum version, which will force them to update their app even when they have already opened your app. Okay, as opposed to checking this only when the app launches. Okay, so let's get started by creating a reference. So let reference equals to database. Okay, it's not showing up here because we have not import the necessary modules. So let's do import Firebase database, and we want to import Firebase database Swift as well, so that we have some extra functions that we can use, which I'll show you later. Okay, so let reference equals to database.reference, and then we're going to do .chow. Alright, so we're going to input the path of this place. Okay, so it's called minimum app version. So let's do that. So minimum app version. Okay, and then we are going to observe this this object. Okay, so we're going to do reference.observe. So I'm going to select this one over here, and then what we're going to observe, we're going to observe the value, and then we're going to have a closure that comes with a data snapshot. So snapshot. All right, so what we want to do is that we want to, let me just quickly show you what we have over here first. Okay, so snapshot, just like that, snapshot.value. So now I'm going to go to the scene delegate, and inside this scene did become active. Where is it? Scene did become active. Let's do app update manager.chat.setup. Okay, so I'm going to run the app now, and you can see what we see in the console. Okay, all right, so you see something over here. We see this object being printed out. Okay, youtube.com and 1. Okay, so you notice over here, if I come over here and I make a change over here to 1.5 and I hit the enter button, notice that this is actually being updated because we are observing it. So observing it means that we are observing to see if any values change, and then if it changes, then we want to execute accordingly. So this is different from reading the data once only. Okay, so just to make that distinction. Okay, so what we want to do is that we want to create a model to reflect this structure. All right, so let's create a model over here. So let's make this a strut, and then let's call this a minimum app version, and let's make this decodable. Okay, so what are the fields over here? We have a URL as well as a value. So the URL is a obviously it's a string, so let URL which is of type string, and then let's do let value, and we want it to be a double. Okay, so because it can be 1.0, 1.5, 1.5.1, so it's better to be 1.5.1 is not really a 0. Okay, let's assume that we are just going to work with just one decimal place. In fact, if you have 1.5.1, then it's better to make it a string, and then you have to do some kind of casting. But I think I'll make this video a bit simpler first, okay? Otherwise, I don't want to have all this casting logic inside over here. Okay, so now what I want to do is that I'm going to do something. I'm going to create a do catch block, because I'm going to use a function that throws an error. So I'm going to do let minimum app version. Okay, this is of type min app version. I'm going to do equals to try snapshot dot data. So you notice that this function throws. That's why we have to wrap it inside the do catch block. Okay, so what is the data type? The data type is minimum app version dot self. Okay, and then I can just print out this. Maybe let me do it this way instead. Min app version. Okay, so let's run this and let's see what happens in the console. Okay, so over here, notice that we are printing out the object this time. Okay, so 1.5 and youtube.com. Okay, so what I want to do over here, catch if there's an error, probably I'll just print this out. Okay, I'm going to create another function over here. So this function is called update if needed. Okay, or maybe show update alert if needed. Okay, so when we have the word if needed, that means there's some kind of condition inside. Okay, so I'm going to take in the minimum app version object, so min app version, and over here I believe I can just call okay, maybe I need to do a weak self over here, weak self, and then self show update alert if needed. Let me pass in the minimum app version. All right, just like that. Okay, so we're gonna make this really simple and put them into a small little function so that it's easy to debug if we have to. Okay, now what do we need to do? So now we want to check against our app to see what is the current version, and the way to do that is you can search online on Stack Overflow, but I'm just gonna type it out, or maybe I can just cut and paste over here. Let me just cheat a little bit. So this is the way to find out what is the version of our app. So maybe let me just print this version string. Okay, so let's hit the let's run the app, and I believe we should see 1.0. all right, so 1.0, where do we get that from? We get it from here. So let's assume I change this to 1.2. Let's run the app one more time. You should see that this reflects 1.2. all right, so just want to prove to you that this works. Okay. All right, 1.2. Okay, so I hope you're convinced now. Okay, so what we want to do is that we want to check against this this version string against our value over here, and we want to see that if our app version is less than this one over here, then we want to show that alert controller. Okay, so how can we do that? So we know that this returns to us as a string, but we need the double data type. So I'm going to do guard let version string, and then I'm going to do let app version version equals to double version string. Okay, else return. Okay, so I hope that this is still easy to understand. Then what we want to do is we want to check whether we should launch the force update. So should force update, this will be a boolean, is equals to app version is let me say, is less than minimum app version dot value. Okay, I hope that this is easy to understand. Then what we want to do is we want to create the alert controller. All right, so var alert controller. This is of type UI alert controller. Okay, so what just happened? I think it imported UI kit over here, so we don't need foundation because UI kit contains foundation. All right, UI kit is built on top of foundation. Okay, so let's define our alert controller. Controller equals to UI alert controller. The title is update required. So you need to update this app to continue. Okay, something like that. Let me break this down into a second line so that's easy to see. So the preferred style, we can use alert over here. Okay, and then we're going to create the OK action. So OK action equals to UI alert action. So we are going to force them, since this is going to be a force update, right? We're not going to create a cancel action. They either tap the OK action or they kill the app. All right, so they don't have a choice. So okay, and then we use default, and then this is where we will handle the action when the OK button is being tapped. Okay, we'll do that in just a while. So maybe in the meantime, I'm going to print out main app version dot URL. Okay, so now we can do controller dot add action, and we can do the add OK action, and then let's return the controller here. All right, guys, I hope that you're still following. Let's do this. And then now the next question is, how are we going to present this alert controller? All right, because we are not inside a view controller, we don't have any reference to a navigation controller. So how do we present this? So one way to do this is actually to check what is the top view controller. So the top view controller is basically the controller that you are seeing on the screen at that point in time. Okay, and we can do that by firstly, let's just create a computed property over here. Let's call this top view controller. This will be UI view controller, and I'm going to make this an optional because there could be a chance that there isn't a top view controller, although I don't think it's likely, but let's just make it an optional anyway. So okay, so there are a few places that you can find out how to do this. So let me just bring you to those places first. So maybe I'm gonna do this here. Okay, so over here, this is one way. I got this from this Stack Overflow. Get topmost UI view controller. So there are some other solutions over here, but I picked this one because I thought that is the neatest, although it has only 2 lights. Okay, and then there is another one over here. Let me come back again, and this one is getting the key window. So I use this one over here. Okay, so let me just paste this inside. So again, guys, this is just cut and pasted stuff from Stack Overflow, and then you know what? I think let me just paste the whole thing inside over here. That'll be much easier. Okay, so this is how you get the top view controller. Okay, I'm pretty sure there are other ways to do this, but this works, so we can use this. Okay, so now let's come over here. So we want to present this, so we need to check, should we do the force update? So if should force update, then we're going to do top view controller dot present. What do we want to present? We want to present the alert controller. All right, so just paste this here. Animated should be true. All right, so let's test this to see if it's working. Okay, let's run the app over here, and then let's see. So we know, let's see what the version is over here. The version is, oops, let's see. Oh, update required. You need to update this app to continue. So when I hit on the OK button, I should see the URL, and I believe the URL should be youtube.com. Okay, so let's just hit the OK button. All right, youtube.com. Okay, so why is this pop-up showing? So let me show it to you. We are on version 1.2, and over here the version is 1.5. So maybe let me just set this to be 1.2, and let's run. Let me see, is this the, yeah, let's run the app again. So let's run the app. Okay, so now it's not showing up, but now if let's say I stop the app and let's come back here to the browser, and let me set this to be 1.3, and let's run the app one more time. I believe we should still see the pop-up. All right. Okay, so what do we want to do when the user tap on the OK button? I mean, there are many things you can do. You can redirect them to the App Store to download the latest one. You can bring them to a particular a website. It's up to you. So we're going to handle that. Okay, so over here, what is the code to open? Okay, so the code to open is UI application .shed.open URL. Okay, just like that. So I'm going to do it this way. Let URL equals to URL string. I'm going to cut this over here, else return. Okay, so just pass in the URL over here, and I think that should work. Let's hit the play button and let's see. Okay, so I'm going to show you how. Okay, so I hit the OK button. I should go to youtube.com. Alright, again, you can specify the link. I think you can specify the App Store link as well, so it'll immediately pop you to your own app, the App Store site, and that is entirely configurable from the real-time database. Okay, so some things to note. Let's assume that the user decides to come back again. There's basically no way they can still continue to stay on the app itself as long as they have internet connectivity, because they are unable to dismiss this alert controller and continue interacting with your app. All right, so hit the OK button. Maybe the user tries to be sneaky and come back to the app again. So basically, I think there's little chance for them to interact with the app with this feature turned on. Alright, so I guess that's all I have for this video, and again, this is not the nicest code. You can actually split them and have them in several layers so that you can actually write unit tests, but again, this is just a quick and dirty way to ensure that you can force your user to update in the shortest possible time. Alright, I hope that you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think about this. Sorry, I've been coughing a little bit because I think I'm still recovering from COVID. And let me know what you think about this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Bye, guys.